What's this? James Gunn says no to Robert Pattison as DCU Batman. Yeah, for the millionth time by now. You know, he says he considered it. They decided not to for whatever reason. Who the hell knows? Seems like it would have been the easiest solution to their problem. Yeah. It creates other problems. I mean, you know, how fantastical do you want DC to be, but if you're going to have this grounded Batman in there and that sort of thing. But nevertheless, they set themselves up where their star character is going to be competing with himself in one way or another, and you know, so whatever. But I guess this came up again, so I'm reading this fresh. Let's read it together at Cosmic Book News. James Gunn has officially put to rest the speculation that Robert Pattison might be folded into the DCU as Batman. When asked on Threads if there was a chance Pattison could play the DCU version of The Dark Knight, even as a variant disconnected from Matt Reeves' universe, Gunn gave a blunt and final answer: no! Pattison was never intended to be part of Gunn's rebooted DCU. Well, he said it was considered at one point, so I wouldn't say never, but whatever. But online rumors previously claimed Gunn had floated the idea of unifying the Batman universe with his new slate, placing Pattinson's Batman alongside David Gordon. He did say that. Yeah, but that's just discussion. And then even Matt Reeves was asked, and he said, well, it's just how would you make it work, or something like that. He didn't shut it down completely. So look, this did happen. Yeah. But it's not going to happen. Anyway, some reports also claim Matt Reeves was watching how James Gunn's Superman performed, both critically and financially, before fully committing to his own long-term plans for the Batman sequels. Yeah, right now, pretty much, his Batman movie franchise, whatever you want to call it, is all that's left. It's looking pretty dismal for DCU. They've got films in the hopper. He'll get his Man of Tomorrow sequel to Superman, and it looks like that's all he wrote for that. You know, I mean, that'll be the end of it. I don't see Supergirl reviving this. I don't see Clayface, you know, turning the tide. The Lantern Show won't do it. So that's that. You know. Plus, everything's up in the air because Warner Brothers is, you know, about to be bought out by either Netflix or Paramount. So, anyway, now that Superman has hit theaters, the results aren't in Gunn's favor. The film failed to match the box office of The Batman, the Batman itself was not stellar. I know Matt McClellan's a big fan of it. I am not, but so we both have our biases, but I saw the movie. It's not good. The Penguin is a masterpiece. Certainly in comparison to Batman. Anyway, Superman didn't even come close to the adjusted performance of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, even without accounting for inflation. So, yeah, it's pretty bad. So, Gunn's short response confirms that the DCU's Batman the Brave and the Bold will feature an entirely new actor, assuming the project even happens. Exactly, that's the big question. Right now, odds are, no. It isn't happening. As we have previously reported, much of the future of Gunn and DCU slate hinges on who is acquiring Warner Brothers. Gunn has also confirmed his future was in question. Yeah, certainly in the circumstances, but also, look, if Superman was this massive mega hit, oh, he's staying. I don't care who buys it. You know? So, all right, so there's that. So the other thing about DCU Batman to worry about was the writer that they hired to take it over. Well, James Gunn's going to defend Christina Hudson as writer for DCU's Batman, a movie we'll probably never see, so it doesn't matter at the moment, considering things, probably not. But still, you know, he's the one who hired her to write it, so of course he's got to defend her. James Gunn stepped in to defend screenwriter Christina Hudson following a question about her involvement with the DCU's upcoming Batman the Brave and the Bold film. In a new exchange on Threads, a fan asks Gunn if Gunn's comment that the universe is rife with incorrect information about the brave and the bold on every level meant that Hudson was not attached to the project. Gunn responded strongly in support of her, stating, "I will only say anyone maligning Christina Hudson's screenwriting skills has almost certainly never read an actual screenplay by Christina Hudson." Yeah, but we saw the movies that her screenplays were for. So I guess the actual scripts were much better than the final product, so it's someone else's fault that it screwed up, I guess. It's possible. This does happen. But anyway, she's one of the writers who was with us early in the DCU planning stages. Okay, yeah, she's, yeah. I just really like her. Well, yeah, but the work, I don't think you can judge my writing based on films others directed, as massive liberties are sometimes taken. So there you go, he's saying it. So her scripts were so much better than the end product. Yeah. Okay, but I mean, so far all I've heard is that, well, Bumblebee was really good. I saw The Flash. I saw Birds of Prey, which is absolutely the worst. I know everyone craps on The Flash and Ezra Miller and all that, but Birds of Prey, holy crap. That was terrible. But the script was better, I guess. So yeah, it's like Ezra's like, huh? It was better on paper? Huh? Anyway, the last part of Gunn's response, massive liberties are sometimes taken, appears to back up earlier report. Well, yeah, The Flash, heavily altered. Good Lord, was it? I mean, it took forever to get the movie off the ground. Anyway, it's amazing it happened at all, really. And then there were three different versions. They kept butchering it, going back and forth. It was going to set up the DCU originally. Then it was, no, we're going to go back to the DCEU, bring back Cavill and Affleck. They shot the scenes. Get that out of there. We're going into the DCU. And then it doesn't do jack squat to set up the DCU, which was a big lie. There's nothing in there that tells you it's a new universe, So, there was just no hope for that movie. Plus, your scandal-ridden star, it was hopeless. So, as previously reported, the real ending of The Flash was supposed to set up a Batman multiverse, including Ben Affleck continuing as the Dark Knight. Yes, and they totally scrapped all that. It's the ending and script that Hudson may have originally written. And it's the version Gunn may have been referring to when he said The Flash is the best superhero movie ever. I don't think it was the original ending. I think that was the second version. That's the first change they did. The original was Supergirl and Batgirl, and Michael Keaton is sort of an older Bruce Wayne in the new reformed universe. That's a mentor figure for Batgirl. And all that was scrapped, and Supergirl would be the only. So it was mostly going to be female led, and all this stuff is what they were going to do. And they said, "What are you doing? That's stupid." And so they scrapped all that, and we're going to go just back to farm and bring back Affleck and Cavill. And nope, probably because the pay grade for Cavill and Affleck was higher than Zaslav was wanting, and so they scrapped it. But as far as Hudson's original script, I think it probably leaned more to the DCU. Now maybe she got the rewrites to change it to the second one, maybe, I suppose. But anyway, however, those plans were scrapped and unreplaced with a different outcome, as we were told that WBD CEO David Zaslav demanded that DC go in a different direction. Cheaper. Margot Robbie has also said the original villain of Birds of Prey was meant to be the Penguin, but was replaced with Black Mask at the request of Matt Reeves due to the Batman film using Colin Farrell. Well, yeah, because Penguin was a part of the original iteration narratives of Birds of Prey. Plus, he's a bird-themed character and all that. So, yeah, but that's not the reason the movie failed. Oh, no, it's not. So anyway, certainly Hudson can't be blamed for all the changes. Yeah, sure, and that's always the case. But, man. So, Christina Hudson is credited with writing both Birds of Prey and The Flash, two films that flopped at the box office. Despite that, she's been kept in the fold by Gunn and Safran to help launch the new Batman under the DCU banner. While fan reactions remain divided, Gunn's latest comments suggest Hudson still has strong backing at the top, and that the final cut of past films may not accurately reflect her original work. Well, yeah, sure. But, man, it's quite a few, So there's concern. There's concern. But ultimately, at this point, it doesn't matter because I'm not sure Brave and the Bold ever happens. I mean, you're running up against, the Batman, and you've got this sequel coming late in the day. There's rumors about why and all this sort of stuff. Fine, whatever, if it's the situation you're in. So the idea that you're going to hold back your main DC character star from your cinematic DC universe, waiting for the other universe of Batman to complete, it's not workable. So Batman Part 2, if it's as bad as the first one, that might end it. But if it's really good, if it's $1 billion movie, well, then you got to do a third one and maybe yet another spin-off series, perhaps Penguin Season 2. You're not going to have any other Batman projects until that iteration of him is complete. So, and a new buyer is going to immediately say, yeah, just do the Batman. And that's probably the outcome regardless of all of this. Let's just play it safe and do Batman movies. So, there you are. Superman didn't save the day. It's unfortunate. I think David Cornsweet could be a great Superman, but he didn't get the movie necessary to make that happen. James Gunn shoots down Grant and Gustin DCU Flash rumors. I didn't know there were any. I mean, for a while, it was tossed around. There was discussion, hey, maybe CGI him into the Flash movie so you can get rid of all that Ezra Miller mess. I mean, yeah, sure, I guess. If they had the money. Because they didn't finish the CGI for the film, with what they had. So, I don't know. Anyway, apparently there's still rumors going on. And, of course, as Flashes go, he's the best one they've had in recent years, So James Gunn has made it clear that Grant Gustin won't be suiting up as the Flash in the DCU. Responding to a fan post on Threads featuring an image of Grant Gustin as the Scarlet Speedster stating, "This gotta happen," Gunn shut the idea down with a blunt reply. "It happened on TV for 9 seasons. Yes, it did. Yes, it did." The fan suggestion likely stemmed from a recent image of Grant Gustin sporting blonde hair, which sparked speculation that he might be involved with James Gunn and Peter Safran's rebooted DCU as the next cinematic Flash. However, it appears Gustin's updated look is unrelated and tied to a separate, unknown project he's currently working on. Gustin has also shot down playing the DCU's The Flash. Gustin portrayed Barry Allen for 9 seasons on the CW's The Flash, which ended in 2023. Despite his popularity in the role, his future as DCU Scarlet Speedster appears to be over. Yes, Ezra Miller recently played the last of the big screen in Zack Snyder's DCU. Presently, it's unknown if Gunn has any plans for speedsters in the DCU. Well, I'm sure there would have been eventually, but the DCU is probably not going to survive long enough for there to be a new Flash. So, there you go. Yeah. Besides, I mean, the guy played the Flash for a long time, and you could tell he was tired by the end, you know. I mean, and the Flash of the CW shows, most of them were pretty crappy. The Flash was not a bad show for a little while there. And then, you know, ran out of steam, I guess, you know. Ultimately, the best was that Superman and Lois show. It was amazing how good it was. But, anyway. Yeah. I never really thought there was going to be any Grant Gustin as the Flash. Might have been interesting to cast him as something else, you know, but then they always balk at that. He's already tied to the Flash. You can't cast him as some other character, you know, whatever. But anyway, yeah. No Flash, no Batman. What else is there for the DCU? Probably a quick end, I'm afraid.